the night of Derrick Findley, so we'll see if Donovan George tries to implement that in his arsenal. Donovan George lost 3 straight. Derrick Findley coming off a loss in Denmark in February. A nice right cross there by Donovan George.
Right here on Facebook Live, we have Robert Mercado who said Don needs to find the distance to get his jab in without any chance of a counter punch. I agree with that. I think if he can use his distance, keep that nice jab, and not worry, especially about that counter left hook from Finley, that he'll be in good shape.
Ray Flores, Mike Lee, Danielle Robea, body combination punctuated by a left hook downstairs by Donovan George. Great to be with all of you here in Rosemont, Illinois. Fight Night Live here on Facebook. Continue to give us your comments. We will do our best to try to read off and answer as many of them as possible as Superman Finley is loading up, and he steps in with the right hook. But Donovan George, you know, this is the sharpest and the most accurate I've seen Donovan George in a long time, Mike.
No, he looks good. He's got some pop in his punches, and I think Finley does too. He's got a little pop early in these rounds, but he's landing more punches. I like when he keeps his left jab out there and keeps that distance. That was a beautiful right hand there behind the jab. It's always great when you disguise that right hand with that jab.
But for Donovan George, both guys like to mix it up, but Donovan George is using his boxing and is allowing it. He's making it easier night for himself by using the jab and sliding that right cross behind the jab.
Well, he just got hit very hard right there. Finley landed a beautiful right hand and shook Donovan's legs a little bit. So you got to be careful about Finley's power here. He's lower to the ground, and he likes to come up with that hook off the counter.
When Derrick Findley told us in the fighter meetings, he said, quote unquote, look, he goes, I can fight. My typical weight class is 168 pounds, and that's another big shot there by Derrick Findley.
Right, it was, as we mentioned before, that's in Donovan's favor. You know, Donovan just got hit with a hard right hand. He didn't really seem too fazed by it.
Derrick Findley was chastising Donovan George, saying that Donovan has had an easier route than he has. He goes, look, I never had promoters to get me an easy fight. I've been in there with anybody. I had to fight the best of the best to get mine, and at the end of the day, I had to go after the baddest guys, and to me, this is just another fight.
Absolutely, he came in confident, and look at him now. He's been in the ring with so many guys that I don't think anybody is going to scare him at this point, even if, they do have a bigger crowd here rooting for him.
And Derrick Findley lit up Donovan George with a left hook, followed by a right hand upstairs, but back comes Donovan George. And Finley growing in confidence as he's swarming Donovan George at the end of round 2.
Yeah, that went a little bit back and forth. I thought that Finley came out a little bit stronger this round, and there were some more flush punches thrown. A lot of power punches in this fight by both guys. You can tell that both these guys really want to hurt each other.
Well, we see on Facebook there is contrasted opinions as to who won the second round. I see 19-19, I see 20-18 for Donovan George. Who do you give that second round to, Mike Lee?
I think I might give the edge there to Finley. I think Donovan had the first one and might be tied up. But like I said, these have been some tough rounds to score here.
For Donovan George, he's got to get back to, as they like to say in boxing circles, to the stick. Use that jab and keep it. And the right hand on the temple by Derrick Findley. Finley is starting to, it seems on the surface, Mike, that he's figuring out and gauging the tendencies of Donovan George a little bit more.
Well, I think both with the height difference and just in general his body stature, I think he wants to walk Donovan George down. You can see he's doing that. So, that was a beautiful straight right hand by Donovan. He needs to continue to do some more of that. When he's walking in, catch him. Not only to hurt him, but to break up that rhythm. That's so important when you have someone coming at you, to break up that rhythm.
When Finley came forward, he's lumbering forward, and Donovan George is stepping to the side, and he's throwing that left hook, and now we're seeing some head movement. Those slight feints, he doubled up on the jab nicely, and it momentarily had Finley off balance.
Finley's finding success with the power punches, and to me, Donovan's been finding a lot of success when he flicks that jab out there. Things seem to be coming very nicely off that jab. There you see a nice little double jab, just keeping Finley off him. He doesn't need to be in a dog fight with him. He can outbox him.
Make it easier for yourself. It's okay. It's like the whole saying is you have to work smarter, not harder. And for Donovan George, he's got to get with his back off the ropes. He does not want himself against the ropes against the power puncher in Derrick Findley. But Donovan George in the first and here in the third is working smarter instead of engaging in that blood and guts affair that he has been in over the past several fights.
Finley keeps a high guard there when he comes up, which is nice because I think both fighters respect each other's power, that's for sure.
Under a minute remaining in round 3. This one's scheduled for 8. Nice, he snuck in a right cross to the left abdomen of Derrick Findley, did Donovan George. And George has been staying away from the left hooks of Derrick Findley here in this third round. Final 30 seconds. Donovan George undefeated in Chicago, possessing a 19-0 record here in the Windy City and in the greater Chicagoland area. But back comes Derrick Findley. Final moments of round 3. This one's scheduled for 8. A left hook there that connected for Derrick Findley to end round 3. Donovan George and Derrick Findley. George with a 6-inch height advantage over Finley. And Finley now is fishing. He's coming in more aggressive, trying to close the distance. And Finley, though, isn't using head movement. He's keeping his head a stationary target, and it's easier for Donovan George to find and tag him on.
Yeah, this round he is. The first few rounds he was definitely using a little bit more head movement, but he's coming out right now very aggressive. Landed a nice right hand to start the round, though, but didn't seem to phase Donovan.
And now Derrick Findley steps in with a left hook, but Donovan George answers back with a couple of jabs. Double left hook by Donovan George. And you know what? They actually sparred together years ago, before they were even midway through their pro careers. Donovan doesn't remember it. Derrick Findley said they sparred a couple of rounds, but they don't really recollect too much. So it obviously didn't have an impression on either fighter, Mike.
No, you know, a lot of times in the fight game, you end up sparring guys that you end up fighting, and you can't really take too much from it. Sparring is so different than fight night. No headgear, the lights are on, the cameras are on, you have more adrenaline pumping. So, you know, having a good day and bad day, they come and go in sparring.
When Donovan George has proclaimed to us that he's had a very good couple of months and a nice right hand on the left cheekbone of Derrick Findley. He said he had a very good training camp. He said, look, I'm the best physically that I've ever been in a long, long time. I quit smoking cigarettes. I'm not drinking beer anymore. You know, I'm all about my kids. And I'm back to the old bomb. But back comes Derrick Findley, who comes back with some concussive power in his hands, and he uses a jab upstairs to measure.
Yeah, Findley's definitely coming a lot forward with some power punches, landing more punches this round.
A heavy right hand. You see the power and how physically. And look, Derrick Findley has had this physique ever since I can remember him over 10 years ago. He is a 12-year pro, and a heavy right hand by Derrick Findley. That has been the right hand that has gotten him paid, and the right hand which actually sent Andrew Fanfare to the deck 9 years ago. And Andrew has certainly recovered and has made a name for himself in the light heavyweight division. But Derrick Findley said that, look, I've been in there with the best of the best, and Donovan George is just another fighter that I got to take out.
In fact, he's self-proclaimed super middleweight here, so he understood that they wanted to fight at 75, and he took it. So you got to give Derrick props for that.
And Donovan George using his distance. He's timing Derrick Findley coming inside, and a left hook that found its home for Derrick Findley, but blasted him back is Donovan George. It's the end of round 4.
I thought that was Derrick's best round of the fight.
David Moore III, who was a former heavyweight standout, he's checking out the fights. We see that Larry Swizik has the fight 2 rounds apiece. Nicky Ryan has this dead even as well. So we see different scores. Brian Kern 39-37, and let's take a look at some of the work from round number 4, Mike Lee.
Double hand right jab. Double jab right hand there by Finley. It was some nice work, but nothing really landed effectively there. A lot of punches in that round weren't extremely effective for either fighter.
How do you have this fight scored, Mike Lee? I mean, do you have the fight dead even?
I have Donovan George up right now.
3-1.
Yes. But, however, I know how the judges work, and rounds like this are very tough to score. And it seems like Finley has come on at the end of the round, so it's tough to say what really happened. And he's coming on strong right now with a beautiful overhand right. This is the game plan Finley needs. He needs to walk him down, break him down, throw unorthodox shots, and Donovan needs to get off those ropes and keep boxing him. When Donovan's found success has been when he's doubled up the jab, when he's thrown beautiful combinations upstairs, downstairs. He needs to get off the ropes.
And right now it is the pressure and the punches and bunches by Derrick Findley which are scoring. And Donovan George, you can tell, is feeling the effect of that. He has got to get out of the way. And an uppercut there by Derrick Findley. And Donovan George needs to tie up, turn around, put Derrick Findley's back against the ropes, and then gain the center of that ring and push him away, which is exactly what he needs to do, and start popping that jab, double and triple jabs if he can.
The other thing that helps with that is getting angles. When you push guys away with your arms.
Oh, and a shot to the body. And Celestino Ruiz is calling it a knockdown. Donovan George thought it was a shot behind the head, and that is a knockdown as called by Celestino Ruiz. Donovan George is okay, but oh my goodness, that could play a big factor in the fight now. Donovan George goes back to work. Answered back is Derrick Findley. Findley may have Donovan George hurt.
I think his legs are a little bit wobbled, but Donovan looked confused as to what happened in that. And Finley knows that he's hurt him here and trying to come on and bring all the force.
A big right hand followed by a left hook that shook up Donovan George. George going backwards. A big right hand upstairs. Derrick Findley. Donovan George has got to do something. He's got to tie up. He's got to throw punches. Under a minute remaining. Can he survive this fifth round? He's staggering around. Finley is lighting him up with big power punches. But Donovan George now is fighting on sheer guts. Oh, big right hand. Down goes Donovan George for a second time in the round.
Finley was loading up. There were some huge power shots that Donovan took.
Donovan George, and this one is over. Celestino Ruiz waves it off, and Derrick Superman Findley stops Donovan George, and vindication for Derrick Findley as he picks up a huge win, stopping Donovan George.
You know, I know Finley doesn't feel this way, but that was an upset. We talked about how big this fight was for Donovan, and he got hit with some very hard shots. I thought that he was winning the fight by boxing, but Finley just broke him down, kept coming forward, hit him with some big shots, wobbled him, and like a veteran, once you hurt someone, you finish them, and that's what Finley did tonight.
Derrick Findley said, he told everybody, and yes, he did, he told us. He goes, look, I'm going to go out there and do what I do. And he went out there, performed, and he broke down Donovan George. And when he had him hurt, he finished it. And Donovan George, I'm sure he's disappointed. He gave a heck of an effort. But you have to wonder now, dropping 4 in a row, will Donovan George follow through on the promise that he told us? He goes, if I can't beat this guy, I'm done. I wonder if this is the last time that we are going to be seeing Donovan George inside the ring.
You know, I'm not sure. Chicago fight fans, though, have loved watching Donovan fight. Derrick Findley, big props to him coming out and throwing some bombs and doing what he did. He was not intimidated, and that's a veteran move to be losing early in that fight, which I thought he was, and for him to come and finish those last 2 rounds so hard was really impressive.
Let's take a look at the end of the fight. Here's how it played out. The first knockdown as Derrick Findley with the jab and a big right hand on the top of the head, throwing off the equilibrium of Donovan George. He's saying it was behind the head, but it was clear. It was right there on the top of the skull.
It was. You could see Donovan was a little bit confused, but it was right there on the top of the skull. It was a little bit in that gray area, honestly, and I know firsthand, when you get hit there at the top of the head or close to the back of the head, it really messes up your equilibrium.
And here is the end of the fight. A big right hook followed by a left. And down went Donovan George. And George, as we take another look at it again, a left hook followed by a right cross. Boom. Right there on the button that sent Donovan George sprawling to the canvas.
Finley did what he had to do. He saw he had a hurt man in front of him. The left hook, beautiful right hand. Earlier in the fight, he landed that same right hand that didn't seem to do much to Donovan, but at this point, Donovan was already very hurt, and he threw a beautiful combination to end the fight, and he couldn't get up. That's it.
And he wasn't necessarily protesting it. He just seemed, he was glassy-eyed. dare I even say, he may not have known exactly where he was or in the particular position that he was in. And Celestino Ruiz, I thought, made a wise stoppage to bring it into the fight.
I agree. You know, he got up right about 9-10, but you could kind of see in his eyes and his body language that he just didn't have it. And you don't want to see a kid like that or anybody hurt in this sport that don't have to be hurt. And Finley came in, you know he was going to come in and throw more power punches. So, like I said before, you got to give him props coming in here throwing those punches. And Donovan too, really fighting his heart out. And you knew Donovan, the only way he was going to lose was in that kind of fashion. He's a warrior.
Now let's set it up to our ring announcer Mark Frutter to get the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, your official time, 2 minutes, 24 seconds in round number 5. Your winner by knockout. Now living, training, and fighting in Gary, Indiana, but originally from Chicago, Derrick Superman Findley.
Derrick Findley stopping Donovan George in the 4th round, or the 5th round, I beg your pardon. We'll send it up to our reporter. Here's Danielle Robay standing by with the man known as Superman.
So you brought the Superman out tonight. How are you feeling right now after that big win?
First off, I'm going to start off by saying this. You know, once again, I got to claim it. TBT in the house, baby. At the end of the day, I salute him for taking a fight with me, you know what I mean? Because a lot of guys, they're not too willing to get in there with me, you know, because I guess, you know, I come to win. You know, any fighter out there, feel free to prove me wrong. But like I said, man, salute to him. You know, I knew it was going to be a tough fight, so I knew I had to come with it. Like I said, much respect to him.
That's nice of you, because at the beginning, you guys had words. It was intense. It was really intense from the beginning.
Yeah, you know, I feel like it was more so, you know, other people, you know, selling the wolf tickets, you know, causing me to say things and causing him to say things. So it's a lot of animosity. You know, I was hearing things from his people, he was hearing things from my people, but honestly, we never really talked. But it was just like tension there. And then, of course, you know, I beat this guy that was, that's fighting the main event now, Mr. Hollywood. You know, so, you know, he got on social media and was saying things about avenging his friend's loss. So that's pretty much how it all started. So, you know, they came knocking on my door, baby, so I answered.
So you answered. This is your 50th fight, and you just won with a knockout. What do you want to say to your fans?
Like I said, you know, I appreciate all my support. My non-supporters, I appreciate y'all too, because I'm going to keep moving regardless.
What's next for you?
I don't know who's ever going to call me. Like I say, a lot of guys ain't too quick to get in there with me. Once again, feel free to prove me wrong. Whatever's next, man, I don't care.
Thank you so much. Congrats.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Bobby Hits. Thanks everybody that came out to see me lose. Doesn't matter. I appreciate the support. Thank you.
You won. You didn't lose. You won.
Danielle Robay standing by with Derrick Superman Finley, and here is the reaction out of the Superman. Gotta love that. Believed in himself. He knew what a class act is Derrick Findley. He said no tension, just, you know, gamesmanship.
Absolutely. Like we said before, he's a veteran, man. He came in here to win. He gave much respect to Donovan George. And you got to love that, man. He threw some beautiful shots. It was a great win by him against a really tough guy.